Anyway, let's stay with tickets, shall we? Tickets of another kind. Photo ID could become compulsory to get into big music and sporting events. It's one proposal in a consultation published by the Department of Culture, Media and Sport today, which looks at measures to combat ticket touts. And Jana Gadgil is on Drury Lane in the West End. What are the proposals that the DCMS are putting forward, Anjana?
Well, Eddie, the department wants to speak to the public, to events organisers and to ticket sellers to find ways to prevent lots of tickets being sold to touts. And some of their ideas include names being printed on tickets, using photo ID to get into venues, or maybe even getting rid of paper tickets altogether. There's also two other interesting ideas which are being proposed. One is asking football clubs to adopt some sort of legal club-sanctioned ticket exchange. Another is having crown jewel events like the World Cups where no selling on of tickets will be allowed. Now, Jerry Sutcliffe is the sports minister, and he says the reason they're having this consultation is because they want to stop innocent people being ripped off.
I've been interested in this for about 3 years now as former consumer minister, and we were aware of people being ripped off by secondary ticket sales in particular. But we want the primary market as well to make sure there's a high level of consumer protection and making sure that people do the best they can to stop people being ripped off.
Now, one thing that Jerry Sutcliffe hasn't explained yet is how it would work if you actually legitimately couldn't go to an event, you had to work late or you were ill. How would that work if your photo was on your ticket?
Well, we've got some experts. We'll talk to them in a little while. But first of all, tell me what the reaction has been like in Drury Lane.
Okay, Eddie, I'm outside Oliver, which has been pretty much sold out for its run. It's very, very popular West End show. There's absolutely no way in half-term week that you're going to get tickets to go and see Oliver. So I've been speaking to a few people here in Drury Lane and asking them what shows they're going to tonight.
Oliver.
So how did you get your ticket?
We actually got them on the internet from a very astute daughter.
Now, it's a proposal by the government that every time you buy tickets you need to use photo ID.
For us, where we live, it's actually not practical if you're trying to buy them through the internet, and we're such a distance away. So, how do you do ID on the internet?
We were going to go and see Oliver, but we can't get any tickets. So
if someone came up to you, a ticket tout came up to you and offered you tickets, would you buy them?
It depended on the price, probably, yeah.
We're going to the Ballet Lab.
And can I ask you how you bought your tickets for that?
We bought them on the internet. I think it's making life even more difficult than it is today.
Would you ever consider buying a ticket from a ticket tout?
Depends how desperate I was.
Now, if anyone's got an opinion on this, the DCMS, go to their website and make your opinion heard, because they really are keen to hear from people who go to events regularly.
Thank you, Anjana. Joining me now is Eric Baker, the Chief Executive of secondary ticket seller Viagogo, and Nick Bittell, Chairman of UK Sports and Major Events Panel. First, if I can start with you, Eric, what do you think about the government's proposals?
Well, I think the government's made very clear, as they did with the Parliamentary Select Committee hearings a few years ago, if you read the report, number one, consumers are very happy with the concept of being able to resell tickets, and that needs to stay the same. Number two, that the key is making it safe, secure, and sort of getting rid of these fraudulent operators. And number three is that they really see legislation as a remote and last resort. So we agree with that. Here at Viagogo, we're all about safe, secure, transparent, and in fact, we're the ones who pioneered the exchanges with clubs like Manchester and Chelsea, which they heralded in their report and recommended other clubs to follow suit.
Let me ask you a hard one then, and I don't mean to offend. Do you make a profit out of fans being ripped off then?
Well, no, actually what we do, and I'd started a similar business in the States called StubHub, which puts scalpers out of business in the U.S. What we're doing is we're making a profit by putting touts out of business. And by that I mean, quite frankly, before we existed, the only way for people to trade tickets was to do it on a street corner in a pub with some shady character who may or may not deliver the ticket, no way for them to really have safety and security. By providing a safe, secure online way for people to trade fan to fan, we're eliminating those people, and that's how we're solving a problem and therefore building a business.
Nick, do you think secondary ticket selling should be banned?
I think there is a case for banning it where it's in the interest of the public of doing so, and that is, for instance, on the major events, the crown jewel events that have been talked about in the consultation, where there's already a very fair system of distribution, where if you can't go to the event will give you a refund and then they'll resell the ticket. And what's happening, unfortunately, is that secondary sites like eBay and others are allowing people who had tickets because they're in a particular position, like because they got them via a school or a tennis club, to sell them at a vast markup. It's profiteering, and what we've seen is the touts moving to these online sites.
So the touts themselves are buying the tickets?
The touts themselves are undoubtedly. I mean, if you go to some of these sites today, you'll find a Wimbledon ticket, which has a face value of about £91, being sold for £2,200. You know, that's just pure profiteering, and it prevents ordinary fans from going to see them at the right price. Also, there are various major events like the Cricket World Cup and the Rugby World Cup that will not come to Britain unless they are given the same protection as the government has given to the Olympics.
Well, we have heard, haven't we, Eric, certainly with big sporting events in other countries, about how badly they've been organised, how tickets have got into the wrong hands. What's the problem with having pictures on them, having signatures, anything that's possible to stop people trading them?
Well, I think a couple things, Eddie, and then I'll react to something that Nick said. So first off is in terms of these ideas about having pictures and your passport, that was in fact tried at the World Cup in Germany in 2006, and they were going to check every ticket, and operationally it was impossible. It was a hassle for the fans, it raised costs for the venue, and in fact after a week the Germans publicly said that they were going to drop that. So I've seen this, I've been doing this for 10 years since I started a company in the States, and all these proposals really, unfortunately, operationally don't work and just raise costs. I'd also want to touch on something that Nick said about, he's talking about access to the fans to Wimbledon, and we were talking about this on 5 Live earlier today. When Nick testified in front of the Parliamentary Select Committee, there really was clear from the Select Committee that the fans wanted a resale market, and one reason they did is because there's no access to these major crown jewel events directly from the box office, and in fact, if you want to see the men's final at Wimbledon, there are very few, if hardly any, tickets that go on sale to the general public, and in fact, I asked the question on the radio earlier today of Nick, how many tickets go on sale to the general public for the men's final at Wimbledon?
You got the answer, it was the majority.
Okay, Nick, let me give you the last word on this. There is a lot of demand for people to trade tickets, for secondary trading to take place, and we just need to provide a safe way for them to do it, cost-effective way, without them being taken advantage of.
I don't think that's right. I think the majority of people want to have a fair access to sports and theatres at the right price, and we've seen sports and events like Glastonbury use photos on tickets with great success, and there's no reason that others can't do so.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Eric Baker, Chief Executive of the Secondary Ticket Seller Viagogo, and Nick Bittell, Chairman of UK Sports Major Events Panel. Who do you agree with?